Wow. Ah, damn. That's the weather, girl. Late night.
School bus.
What's going on, ma? What the fuck is going on out there on a late night? What the fuck is going on out there on a late night? Double R League, man. The real recruit league, where every recruit that come out is turned into a real life high school kid from the 2026 and on class. You know what I'm talking about? We got a lot to talk about. We got recruiting to talk about. We got Heisman race. We got awards. We got all types of shit to talk about, man, while we're in rival weekend. Let's go to the schedule first and take a look at who's up in rival weekend at every conference right now. So let's start with the ACC. Miami is waiting to go to New Orleans to take on Tulane. Their head coach is looking to go back to his hometown, his home city, his home state, and be able to take on the Tulane Green Waves that are sitting at 9-2 and they're ranked number 11 in the country right now. If they're 11 in the college football playoff poll, they will be in the playoffs. Now, losing this game is very important not to lose it for Tulane. Miami, however, hopped off in the season where they lost to USC in one of the big games they played because of how tough that ACC schedule was for Miami. Not just the ACC, but their overall schedule was. They're a one-loss team sitting at number 2 right now, and the College Football Playoff Committee absolutely spoke high volumes, pitting them at number 2 and saying what they value them on the schedule. Up next is the battle of my side of the map, where Syracuse from New York and Pittsburgh, both of them surround New Jersey, Camden, New Jersey at that, are up the battle, where Syracuse took on Pittsburgh already and beat the brakes off of Syracuse 70-20. Now, as we continue to go down rival weekend in the ACC, you're going to take a look at South Carolina's Clemson versus South Carolina uh, Gamecocks. All right, Clemson is looking to allow themselves to be in the ACC championship. It's a big time battle over here in the ACC if you take a real good look at it right now. But Clemson and South Carolina are going at it in their rival game. Um, So we gonna see how that shit plays itself out right now. They will be in Clemson, South Carolina, for this ball game. Now South Carolina hasn't had a really good season this year. Their coach is on a complete hot seat, 5-6, 4-6 in conference play. But Clemson, they went under construction of a new head coach, got him, and then they've been playing good football because I think they're gonna hire their interim coach. I don't think they're gonna actually look for another coach. I think they like what their current coach is doing. Plus, all the players from that team don't want another coach, and a lot of them are threatening to hit the transfer portal if they don't keep that coach as their head coach. It's crazy how these kids get the power nowadays. They get the power, and where they go, money could make you either keep them or leave them, right? They get to go team from team shopping and figure out what their value is and take full advantage. But not just that. We saw it with DJ Lagway before he left Florida. They didn't keep that coach hired. He transferred and went to Texas Tech. And you saw it, right? And in real life, he said, keep the coach, and you don't see their coach getting fired at this point right now, right? So some of these kids and these blue chip athletes got the power to better influence what coaches stay around and what coaches don't, man. Um, then you got to talk about the coordinators. Anytime your team is doing really good and your coordinators and your assistant coaches and all those guys will get plucked from your program fast because people are always looking to steal from those that are doing good. Simple as that. You either get terminated or elevated. And some of these coaches is getting elevated. And we'll see how that goes within the next week or two when these coaches when we hit the coaching carousel, and we start seeing who goes where, when, and how. Um, Pittsburgh, number 7 in the country. So when you take a look at the ACC, it's really going to be a down the stretch situation because Pittsburgh is 11-1, 9-1 in conference play. Their only loss was to Miami, a game that the coach didn't play it, so Miami got the win. But Pittsburgh has one loss, and their big win that I saw was against Oregon early on in the season. They sitting at number 7. They definitely are a playoff team at this point. As you can see, Miami has one loss on their schedule, but it's outside of the conference, so they're actually 9-0 in conference play right now. And again, Tulane's sitting with 2 losses in conference play. And as you continue to go down, and you look at it, we'll go through it. But South Carolina and Clemson is the big game to pay attention to. 13th ranked South Carolina, and then you have 2 ranked squads and 25 ranked Florida versus 17th ranked Florida State. Florida State is 8-2 in conference play. Florida is 7-3 in conference play, losing to Alabama. I wish they'd have played that game because Alabama keeps stealing wins on 50-50s, but as it is, they're undefeated. So they're going to have to look. They're not going to better duck a user game. Not calling a user a ducker or nothing like that, but you ain't going to better get away with not playing a user game when it comes down to conference championship play. And then there's the rival between USC and Notre Dame. Notre Dame sitting at 7-3. USC is the number 1 team in the nation, sitting at 10-0 in conference play, 11-0 overall. And some will ask, who the hell is USC playing in conference? We'll get to that in a moment. As far as the Big 12, there are 3 teams that are in prized possession of being those guys, and one of them are on a bye week this week, and that's TCU. And all favors TCU not having to play a game for the last week of the season because they pretty much solidified themselves in the conference championship game because of the win head-to-head versus UCF, who is a up-and-coming program right now. They are getting it together. I know they see them with a 9-2 record, 7-2 in conference play. They lost to Colorado in a tight game early on, and they lost to TCU as well. But this UCF team is very, very structured, very, very on the uprise, right? They took the offensive coordinator from UNLV and brought that go-go offense to Orlando, and that shit is looking really good right now. They got the weapons to do it. Really big time targets on the outside at the receiver position, and what they do offensively force you into playing a lot of man-to-man against them. And because of that, they get one-on-one action with those 2 outstanding young wide receivers. As you can see, Colorado literally obliterated Oklahoma State, their rival game. This is not a rival when you don't win a game, but they are in trouble right now. 92 points is a violation to playing a computer. Flat out in trouble. Now, we go to the Big Ten, and we take a look at the Big Ten because this is very interesting. Nebraska has starting to get it together a little bit. Their coach started to play a little bit more games, but as you can see, 5-6. They have Iowa, Ohio State, and Michigan. Ohio State sitting at 7-2, Michigan sitting at 8-1. Both teams, whether you believe it or not, have an opportunity to be playing in the Big Ten championship with this win. Because when you take a look at Penn State, they're sitting at 10-2, 8-2 in conference play right now. Now, Penn State has the one up on Ohio State because they won the matchup there, but we don't know who else they lost to in conference players. I don't know if they played USC and lost to USC as well as Oregon, but Oregon did come through and crush the building. So you're looking at another 8-2 team in conference play. Oregon is sitting at 11-1, but 10-0 in conference play right now. And the two teams that didn't meet up yet are 11-0 USC and 10-0 Oregon in conference play. So right now they look like they'll be the head-to-head matchup depending on how these games go. Now let's take a look at the mighty SEC. Georgia Tech, Tennessee Vanderbilt. You're looking at Missouri Arkansas, big time game. Texas A&M LSU. We already talked about South Carolina, Florida State, Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. This is a big time game right here. I mean, again, Alabama sitting at 11-0, 9-0, ranked 5 in the country. Undefeated Alabama ranked 5 in the country. It tells you the shift is in the ACC right now, or the Big Ten, not the SEC in this league. But Alabama 5-0, they do take on 21 ranked Auburn in the Iron Bowl. So that's what your matchups look like this week. We'll take a look at conference standings. When you look at the ACC right now, if the conference championship game was played today, it would be Miami and Clemson. So as you can see, Pittsburgh has already won their game. Clemson has a game up right now, and they're waiting. Pittsburgh is waiting on the result of the South Carolina Clemson game. If Clemson don't win that game, it looks like Pittsburgh will be playing Miami in a conference championship game. But if everything lines up the way it already is, it will be a Miami Clemson matchup in the ACC championship. And again, the Big 12, you're looking at TCU and Colorado, with UCF losing to both teams in front of them, Colorado and TCU. And TCU is on a bye week this week, so they already punched their ticket to the Big 12 championship game versus Colorado. In the Big Ten, again, 10-0 USC, 10-0 Oregon. They went out there in with Michigan looking to upset that situation. So we need one of these two teams to lose for Michigan to try to get their way into a conference championship game. So a lot of things happen if USC or Oregon lose. In the SEC, the mighty Oklahoma Sooners, the motherfucker Usies, Sooner Nation, Oklahoma. They 10-0 right now, defending their championship, and they unscathed right now. And Alabama's right behind them, saying, "Not so fast, my friend." Texas 8-2, Florida 7-3, Auburn 6-3, Texas A&M 6-3, Missouri 5-4, Tennessee 5-4. So at the end of the day, Alabama can lose and still be playing in the conference championship game. So we got a head-on collision between Oklahoma and Alabama for the SEC championship game. All right, the top 25 college football poll, the voters have spoken already, right? While we're in rival weekend in week 13, this is what it looks like. USC remains the number one team in the nation after their 65-35 win at UCLA, making Miami drop to number 2. They were 1 last week. They're 10-1 right now. They do have at Tulane to play their game. Oklahoma sitting at number 3, 12-0, 63-31 over LSU. They're idle this week. Number 4 is Oregon. They went from number 5 to number 4 after beating up on Penn State, 15th ranked Penn State. They were ranked higher. We'll talk about that in a second. But 77-28, and they're at Washington to close out the season. Alabama went from 4 to 5 after beating Florida 42-34, but they got another ranked matchup coming up, so that could jump them a little bit. Colorado goes from 7 to 6 after beating up Cincinnati and blowing out Oklahoma State. Pitt is sitting at one loss, sitting at 8. Went from 8 to 7. again, 70-19 over North Carolina, and they're at Syracuse this week. Texas is at number 8. They were number 9 last week. They're 10-2. Michigan was idle last week. They do play Ohio State in the big game. That's the big game for real. There's no rival bigger than this rival right here. We get to see Spiderweb go up against uh, Bryce Underwood, two really good quarterbacks from the same 2025 class that's looking to forward their program. Ohio State won the game last year. All right, you see TCU went from 11-10. Right now, that's a playoff spot for them. 63-34 over Kansas State. Tulane goes from 12-11, 63-30 over Boston College. They do have number 2 uh, Miami. They beat number 2 Miami. They're going to move up a little bit more because you got to be in the top 11 for you to get into the playoffs because there's always going to be a spot for the group of 5. So that 12th spot, you go to 12, like right where Ohio State is sitting right now. If Ohio State beats Michigan, number 9 ranked Michigan, they're going to steal Michigan's spot. They jumped themselves right into the playoffs. And Clemson went from 15. They jumped up 2 spots from 15-13. USC sitting at 14. They neutral at 14. Penn State went from 6, dropped all the way down to 15th after that loss to Oregon. Notre Dame idle at 16. So was Florida State 17-17. East Carolina is one of the group of 5 schools. Stanford is in the mix. They went from 22-19. USF is a group of 5 school. Auburn, Louisiana Tech, Boise State, Tulsa. Now these are the schools that will have an opportunity for a playoff spot if they win their group of 5 championship games. Boise State, Tulsa, USF, East Carolina. Let's slide down to the college football playoff bracket, but before that, let me hit y'all with my little fake commercial, my little plug. If you are watching right now and you're on and you're up watching this broadcast right now, please type your team's name in the comment section because those that are up right now and are watching it live, I'm going to give you 2 players on a gift that's in the chat. If you catch it tomorrow, type your name in the chat and let me know you watched it. And to prove you watched it, I'm gonna ask a question in the chat. So if you didn't watch it live, to get the gift, you're gonna have to listen to what I ask in the chat. So I'm gonna make sure you watched it to be getting your 2 speed to excel on any player of your choice that can be non-NIL players. All right, now the college football bracket again. If it was to start today, and things will change because conference championships have to be played. But East Carolina has the group of 5 spot right now at 12. They'll be going up against Oregon, sitting at the 5 seed right now. Michigan is number 9. They'll be going up against number 8 Texas. 11 is Tulane right now, and they'll be going up against number 6 ranked Alabama as far as college football playoffs. Now TCU will be playing Pitt 7 versus 10. And those guys that have buys as of right now are Colorado, who absolutely has to play a championship game. USC has to play a championship game. Oklahoma has to play a championship game. And Miami has to play a championship game. USC is number 1. Oklahoma is number 3. 2 is Miami. 4 is Colorado. Let me go ahead and type my team name in the comment section right now for my gift. You heard? Colorado.
Colorado.
All right, I'm gonna do a fast review over the awards watch list real fast, and then we getting into conversations right now. Vernon Livings is going off. There hasn't been a running back at USC since the Reggie Bush era that's doing what he's doing as a running back and a receiver. And some can say that he's wearing a number 5 because of Reggie Bush, but he's a better football player than Reggie Bush at this point of what he's doing on season. How about Tajay McCoy, the defensive end for Colorado, with 32.5 sacks this year, sitting at number 2. But we're talking about the top 3 real fast. Cam Michael, the wide receiver for Colorado. And you know what? Ricky Smalls and Nick Harbor. We'll talk about those guys. Ricky Smalls at cornerback has 26.5 sacks, 3 interceptions on the season right now. Head coach of the year, Adrian Peterson for Oklahoma. Aaron Donald, Deion Sanders are your top three. Always be Cruton at Alabama. He was too lazy to change his guy's name. Game Brett Rivera, USC is your top five. Best quarterback in the country right now is Juju Lewis. He's looking to break a long NFL, a long NCAA college football record as a passer. Jonas Williams, the true freshman, took his talents, the 2026 quarterback took his talents to Tulane, and he is balling out for Tulane this year, man. Jonas Williams, the number two quarterback. Achilles Smith Jr. for Oregon, redshirt freshman, putting in work right now. He's number three. Sean Lee Jr. for Pittsburgh is one of the main reasons why Pittsburgh is doing what they're doing this year. He's really legit as a dual threat quarterback running a read option system. They have a spread out Army-Navy offense. Ty Simpson is your number five quarterback for Alabama. Best defensive players right now are Tajay McCoy, Ricky Smalls, Double A Battery, Marquise Lightfoot, and Elijah Rushing from out of Oregon. There's not a defensive back better than Ricky Smalls in the country. Now, I'm not saying he's the best man-to-man corner. I think he'll be a complete slot corner in the NFL, or he'll be a safety. This kid is, from in their scheme, he does exactly what they need him to do. He's an outstanding, standout football player at the cornerback position. Size, speed, physical, everything you need. The question the NFL scouts are going to have is, can he be on the outside? Can he be your one or two at the cornerback position? Or is he strictly going to be a slot or even move to the safety, considering what he's doing in college football? In that scheme that Miami has, he is the best player on the field. Makari Vickers, Oklahoma, leads the league in interceptions. There's not been a corner in one season to have 17 INTs in the history of college football. Nate Ritchie, the USC strong safety, in his senior year is going out with a bang right now, number three. Ben Finisef, this man went from a walk-on to a starter to a guy that should be getting drafted in the top 3 rounds. Tyler Toner, Oregon, free safety junior, 6 foot 190 hybrid safety, is balling out as well. Best running back in the nation, obviously, Vernon Livings. Now, look, he's doing more as a receiver than he's doing on the ground, but he's Dabian on the ground, right? He has over 1,100 yards rushing. This man's got 45 touchdowns on the ground, like 26 of them as a receiver. He is the offense for USC. Some will say he is the only weapon for USC until I show you the receivers. But USC getting away with it right now. When it comes to playing USC, no one's shown that they could stop Vernon Livings as of right now. And because of that, they're 11-0 right now, and this guy is on the top of the map of everything. Everybody's Heisman list, he's on the top of everybody's vote as of right now. And Dyer Hill, to me, he's the most complete running back in the league in college football. I'm not saying he's the best, but he's one of the most complete, right? This kid can do a little bit of all. They don't ask him to catch the ball much out of the backfield, but what he's doing in that spread, open, wide, run and shoot offense that they have in Oregon, he's a hell of a ball carrier, right? Since he's taken over the starting running back job, he's been a monster for Oregon right now. And some would say he's the best running back out of California. Darius Teller takes over for 2 stud running backs. He's finally the guy his senior year to be able to really be the bell cow, and he's doing just that. And I think Chris Johnson Jr. is affected by the number 5 guy, C.J. Baxter. When you got 2 running backs from Miami sitting at 4 and 5 on the best running back list, that tells you everything you need to know. But the crazy thing is Chris Johnson has done what Vernon Livings is doing this year, and he lost the Heisman to another USC guy from last year, Zachariah Branch. But I think he's being hurt because they seen him do it. They seen him do it last year, and then Baxter is taking some of the spotlight from him as a running back. So they get top 5 running backs. Best receivers, Cam Michael, like he's having a season, another Travis Hunter season without playing DB, right? Like he is right now the best receiver in college football. Nick Harbor is a man-child. We know about that. Rashad Renfro is actually making a name for himself this year. If he returns to Pitt, he's going to be one of the best receivers in the country. And young sophomore, true sophomore, Decorian 5-star Moore is absolutely the number 1 receiver for Oregon, and he's doing everything he needs to do. Bob Boyce is benefiting from the quarterback that Tulane brought in as a sophomore. He's playing really well as top 5 receivers. When it comes down to the Lombardi Award, this is presented to the best defensive lineman of the year. Tajay McCoy, Double A, Marquise Lightfoot, Elijah Rushing, and Elijah Rudolph. Nothing changed with these guys. They've been on this list for a while. Senior quarterbacks in the country, Ty Simpson, Jaden Maeva, and Avery Johnson are your top 5. Not going to read off the top 5 best defensive ends because we just got finished seeing best defensive linemen in the country. So you're looking at Tajay McCoy, Double A, Marquise Lightfoot, Elijah Rushing, and Elijah Rudolph from Miami. Best interior lineman, there's not a user except for Justin Evans and Amar Rolfe for Texas Tennessee in your top 5. Best tight ends, Delane, Taylor Fasano, redshirt freshman, Tyler Lowell for Miami, another redshirt freshman, David Robert, UCF, sophomore, C.J. Nickerson, Oklahoma, Jorian Dickey for Oregon are your top 5. Boyles Award coaches, DC from Andre Estrella, Ryan Winston, Michael Henry, Colorado, OC, Mike Keys, and Jaden Khalid. Best linebackers, NOBB, Nathaniel Owusu Boateng, Jameson Eaton from Miami, along with Herbert Scroggins, another dog at the middle linebacker, Derek McCormick, USC's left outside linebacker, Alexander Shield Knight for Oklahoma, right outside linebacker, redshirt freshman. All these guys are underclassmen, top 5. Best center in the league, nobody made the top 5 except Pitts, Adham Abarore, and then Jason Zandamalea from Florida. Punters, we don't care. We don't care about our punters that much, but Deion Puller and Will Carroll for Alabama and Tulane. And the best returner in the country is young Quentin Gibson out of Texas. Quentin Gibson is a dog, redshirt freshman sitting there here, number 1, Ryan Niblett, number 2. Camden Jennings from Ohio State, true freshman, cornerback, running punts and kicks back as well. And then no more users for 4 to 5. So they go your awards waste. Let's talk about what's happening in the Heisman conversation right now. All right, so it's near the end of the season right now. You only got a few games before it don't count, right? So those that are playing the conference championship games will have an opportunity to put on one more show to be able to get these Heisman voters to decide who they voting on right now. But Vernon Livingston is the head-up favorite. 22 carries, 214 in his last game against UCLA. He rushed 6 touchdowns. He also caught the ball 13 times for 229 yards. Now, he had a bunch of receivers from that team joking, saying that, the coach Dick Ryan down there throw the ball to nobody else but him and shit. They just bona fide blockers. Now, they were playing on TikTok, talking shit, but, is there some truth to that? Shade thrown. Ricky Smalls, first pure true corner, with a little bit of Charles Woodson playing receiver, punt return and all that, but, this guy doesn't play kick returner, punt returner, anything like that. He's a true corner with the opportunity to win a Heisman, sitting at number 2. And Tajay McCoy, defensive end, could be one of the first to do it. Sitting at number 3, Colorado's Cam Michael, and you would say they're pulling votes from each other, right? Being on the same team. And Nick Harbor, the man machine for Penn State, are in your Heisman conversations. What's crazy is you start looking at the stats and what these guys are doing on the season, and you can see what the hell's going on, right? Let's take a look at some of this stuff. When it comes down to nationally passing right now, Juju Lewis is sitting with 6,781 yards. Right behind him is Antoine Hill from Miami, 2025 quarterback for 4-star, 5,349 yards. Sean Lee Jr. with 5,254. And then Donnie Dietrich, Penn State, 4,907, along with Achilles Smith with 4,614. 80 touchdowns from Julian Lewis, 65 from from Lee Jr., Hill Jr. with 59, Achilles Smith with 54, and Dietrich with 51. 74%, 60%, 50%, 72%, 65%. And all you know is you can tell what guys are throwing the ball 1 million yards down the field, but really high yards per game. Rushing, we got a few thousand-yard backs right now. Let's take a look at it. Darius Teller leading the nation in 1426. Dyer Hill, and I think he's really trying to win this rushing title, 1397, 7.6 yards a pop. C.J. Baxter, 1307, 8.2, 16 touchdowns, and Livingston with 215 carries for 1156. He averaged 5.4, but 45 touchdowns on 105 yards a game. Dominating. This is why you see him now. Look, he's one of the Heisman guys, right? And the reason why you're going to see him there is because you would think, well, damn, well, the rushing touchdowns, obviously, 45 rushing touchdowns is ridiculous. But then when you start looking at receiver play, you'll realize that there's a whole bunch of 1,000-yard receivers, but none has more yards than Nick Harbor with 103. This is why he's only your top 5 Heisman candidate, 3,134 yards. He averaged 30.4 yards a pop. This man, on average, 261 yards a game with 32 touchdowns. Cam Michael with 27.49, 16.6, 229 yards a game with 41 touchdowns, 1,523 yards after he catches the ball, run after catch, right? 9.2 yard average. This man had 166 catches on a year. Now, you would think, damn, all they do is throw the ball to him. But if you look down, Traylon Miller is sitting right there in top 10 with 85 catches. If you go down even a little farther, you're going to see their other receiver, Omarion Miller, with about 60 plus catches, maybe 54. I'm going to do it like this. Let's find out. 74 catches for Omarion Miller. This is when guys getting the football. 1,000-yard receiver, 13 touchdowns. 1,400-yard receiver, 10 touchdowns. 2,700-yard receiver, 41 touchdowns. The Heisman guy, 101, 1309, 20. So he got 65 touchdowns accounted for himself. And this is the reason why you will not win the Heisman over him unless one of those defensive players do something spectacular over the next 2 games. Cam Michael and Nick Harbor are also on this Heisman list, but you can see why they're on here with 32 touchdowns, 41, and over 2,000 yards receiving. One of them already touched 3,000. Crazy. Now, for USC's credit, 74 catches, 16, 70, and 12 touchdowns for Corey Sims. So they do got a guy that's really their number 1 receiver putting in work. You got to go to the defensive side because you got to see guys like, they're not going to show it. Let me see. Tajay McCoy leads the nation with 32.5 sacks, 59 tackles for loss, and 96 total tackles. Ricky Smalls with 98 tackles, 38 tackles for loss from the slot corner with 26 sacks, 3 INTs. And these 2 guys are in the Heisman race as well. And you see what they're doing defensively. And any other normal race, one of these guys could win it. But because you see what's going on the offensive side of things, not going to happen, my friend. I don't know. They will have to do something spectacular over their last. Well, McCoy played his last game already. I think Ricky Smalls didn't play yet. He played his last regular season game, so he does have the title game to be able to show up and show out. Let's get back to conference championship situations right now, right? I think the fight right here with Clemson and Pittsburgh, Clemson win, they in. Clemson lose, Pittsburgh's in. I would like to see this matchup. They didn't get to see each other. Michigan and Clemson didn't get to see each other. I mean, Miami and Clemson, sorry, missed each other, right? It was they had a game, the regular season, but and Miami won it, but they didn't get the matchup as far as user to user. And Clemson's quietly sneaking their way into the mix of being able to show who they are. And if this coach is going to stick around, this will be a game that will help him stick around, beating South Carolina, their rival, and getting to the ACC championship. And even, I think getting to it will keep him around, but winning it will solidify he's the coach going forward. All right, this will be the first matchup between TCU and Colorado. Colorado's been in the conference championship 3 straight seasons. TCU is going to be in it for the first time this year, and TCU is looking to keep taking them steps forward, who they are. USC blew their opportunity to play in the conference championship game with the loss to TCU, so that killed that. And then when you're looking at the Big Ten, USC, Oregon, Michigan, Penn State, right? No, it's strictly USC, Oregon. One of those guys lose their last game. Michigan can sneak in the mix, but I don't think it's enough to overpower what USC and Oregon has been doing. So we got a head-on collision. between Oregon and USC, a game we've been waiting to see forever. And when you think about this game, you got to think about the weapons on the field, right? Decorian Moore, the wide receiver for Oregon, and then Darier Hill, the running back for Oregon. And then you're looking at Livings, the running back, along with Corey Sims, the wide receiver. So both of them got a star running back and a star receiver, and both of them got really good quarterbacks. One has a senior, one has a redshirt freshman, and both of them can light the sky up. But they do it two different ways, right? Oregon will spread you out, no diddy, and light you up from anywhere on the field. USC is going to play the matchup game and get their running back in one-on-one situations and torture you that way. Who can stop who when we watch this matchup? Because I tell you like this, the winner of this conference championship game will be the number one team in the nation come playoff time. That's how important that conference championship game going to be. And then when you get to the SEC and you think about this conference championship game, it's really no other team that can jump Alabama, whether Alabama lose or not. But the question is going to be the defending champs versus a really unknown Alabama team. We don't really know who they are because we haven't seen much of them. They've been a quiet 11-0, quiet 9-0. We don't really know big wins. We haven't seen them play. So they're quiet under the radar, which this coach probably likes. But you're going to have to show up and show out when you play Oklahoma because they're looking to repeat on the run they have, right? They're recruiting better than anybody in the country. They have the best team by far than anybody on it out there right now. These guys got big time players, not only on their first team, second team, sometimes on their third team. They got incoming guys that's ready to go, red shirt right now, and they got another incoming class ready to go as well. You can honestly say maybe Ohio State is truly competing with them in recruiting, truly competing with them with a truly natural build of a roster where they going crazy and getting the top dogs in the country. USC doing the same thing too. They're really bringing in a lot of big time players, a lot of blue chip guys. But I really think this Oklahoma team feels like they're on top of the world right now. And until somebody can knock them off their mountain, off the hill, they are the it. We got a lot of good football coming up in a short amount of time right now. And once we get through these rival game weekends, we get right to the Army-Navy game and then to the playoffs. I mean, to the conference championship games. And those conference championship games will decide a whole lot, right? Because you got to think about it like this. If TCU beats Colorado, Colorado won't fall out of the playoffs, but they probably are going to fall out of the bye week, right? TCU would jump right into that fourth spot. Same thing with USC. Oregon sitting at 5. Now, 5 spot's the best spot to beat in the playoffs because you're going to have an opponent that most people know you could beat, which is a group of 5 school. So Oregon and USC swapping really won't kill them, right? One team to get a bye and get prepared to better go forward, right? And the other team will have to play, which could be a tune-up game to get ready for the big game in the quarterfinals. So a swap there ain't going to kill neither one of these teams because that's exactly what's going to happen. I think if USC loses this game, Oregon takes the number 1 spot. USC goes to 5. Now, Michigan's sitting at 9, but they won't be playing in the Big Ten championship game. That would be Oregon and USC. But they do have 2 losses on the season, so I think they're stuck where they at right now. They might move up. They might go from playing on the road to playing home. And if that happens, good luck playing in the big house. Texas is the same way, same situation, right? With a loss between Alabama and it won't kill them. Alabama shouldn't fall beyond Texas with a loss, right? But if Alabama beats Oklahoma in a championship game, they go to the 3 spot. Oklahoma will probably go in somewhere between that. I would say 6. I would say 6 to 9 maybe spot. And TCU, let me ask you this: at number 10, if they lose the playoff game, are they knocked out of the playoffs? That's going to be the question. I think Pittsburgh's sitting at 7. They idled it again. as long as Clemson wins. This the crazy shit. Pittsburgh sitting at 11-1, but Clemson has 2 regular season losses and 1 conference loss. They'll be playing in a conference championship game. Now look what happens. Clemson beats Miami in a championship game. Clemson goes to that number 2 spot. Miami's going to drop into the first round. What does that do to Pittsburgh? What does that do to TCU? Right? Those teams aren't safe. So guys got to go out there and win. So like Pittsburgh, TCU, teams like that, even Tulane, they need Miami to actually win that ball game. They need Clemson not to be able to get in the mix. If that happens, it's going to screw up a lot of these guys' opportunities to play in a playoff right now. So I think the whole ACC, that's all have an opportunity to play right now in the playoffs. So you got 3 teams from the ACC: Miami, Pittsburgh, and Tulane. Well, Tulane and Pittsburgh is rooting for Miami to win that game against Clemson, or they're rooting for South Carolina to upset Clemson, so Pittsburgh will be jumping in that spot to play Miami in the conference championship game in the Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh in this situation want to actually play in the conference championship game. They don't want to sit idle, because if Miami loses that game, they can be flipped out of the playoffs after having a stellar year at ranked 7 in the country and ranked with 11-1 record right now. So a lot of things can happen, a lot of shifting going around when you look at each conference. Let's look at the Power 4 conferences. You're looking at Oregon, Michigan, USC representing the Big Ten. That's 3 teams. Colorado and TCU representing the Big 12. That's 2 teams. USC, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Tulane is representing the ACC. That's 3 teams. And then when you look at the big SEC, you're looking at Oklahoma, Alabama, and Texas, all are representing the SEC. So you're looking at every conference in the Power 4 has 3, except for Colorado's conference, the Big 12, which is 2. So big time football coming up. Again, if you're watching right now, man, type your team's name in the comment section for your gift, for your 2-speed to excel. Team name in the comment section for your 2-speed to excel. With that being said, our show is over. We're out of here. We'll catch y'all after the championship. Well, we'll catch y'all during the championship rounds. With that being said, we're gone.